Let's face it, our memories are not perfect. Some studies actually indicate that our memories are not as consistent as we'd like to believe. Moreover, with the past lockdowns from the pandemic, there's a bit of research indicating that all this isolation has only worsened our memories caused by bouts of depression and loneliness. In addition, online search and digital devices are preventing us from relying on our brain more, causing us to forget things quickly. Some of these memory lapses that we experience in our lives go beyond that, caused by tricks in our brains we call cognitive biases. And one common bias to take note of, experienced by everyone at some point in their life, is the tip of the tongue effect. Formerly known as Lethologica, the tip of the tongue phenomenon, or TOT for short, is a lapse in memory retrieval where a person fails to recall a word, all the while feeling like they are so close to retrieving it. From fatigue to caffeine intake, there are a lot of reasons why you might experience TOT states. This process of speaking, where our brains assigns a word to a given abstract idea, makes sense of its meaning, and then translates it into a vocal sound, all in a matter of a few milliseconds, is quite complex to say the least. As such, an occurrence like this happening is to be expected. Our brains, after all, are not perfected machines. Everyone has experienced the tip of the tongue phenomenon at some point. This is especially the case the more languages you know. In fact, 90% of speakers of different languages reported experiencing this quite often. Imagine the following common scenario. You're in the middle of a conversation, elaborating on some story, and you suddenly hit a wall in your thoughts. Whatever word you want to get out there is right at the edge of your mouth, so close and yet you're unable to get it out. No matter the effort, you think and rinse over what it is, yet remain stuck. The word is left lost at the tip of your tongue. Speaking a language, even if it's our mother tongue, may come naturally and unconsciously, but what goes on beneath the hood in our brains is quite a complex process of recollection, recognition, and relearning. As mentioned earlier, there are plenty of reasons influencing this lapse in memory retrieval. This can happen to anyone really, but naturally the more languages a person knows, the more frequent they may experience the tip of the tongue phenomenon. Studies have shown that when it comes to names, bilinguals may experience the same amount of TOTs as monolinguals, but with words, they experiencing this syndrome significantly more. This can be attributed to the sheer amount of additional vocabulary a multilingual holds in their brain, which also results in additional cognitive mechanisms having to be activated when switching languages as well. Emotional states are another reason why we experience TOT states. We all know that when we are riled up emotionally, we can talk or behave irrationally. A study by Bennett L. Schwartz drives this point further, as it was reported that participants of a given test were more likely to experience TOTs for questions that triggered emotional arousal compared to more neutral questions. Schwartz also discovered via neuroimaging techniques that areas of the brain associated with emotion, such as the anterior cingulate cortex, were activated when experiencing TOTs. The older we get, the more our memory clutters. Therefore, it comes as no surprise that age will play a part in the frequency of TOTs. In one study, older adults reported having more TOT moments than younger ones. While both groups of adults generally activated the same parts of the brain during TOT states, the older a person was, the greater loss in gray matter within the left insula. Also, with some older individuals, there was some differences in the regions of the brain that activated compared to their younger counterparts. Furthermore, for people who have more serious disorders such as anomic aphasia or dyslexia, experiencing tip of the tongue effect can be more common in frequency. Anomic aphasia is a symptom that occurs in people who have Alzheimer's disease or aphasia, and it is the inability to recall words or names. Dyslexia, on the other hand, is the inability to read and or interpret words, letters, and symbols properly. A study has shown that dyslexic children had a tendency to experience TOT more frequently than their peers that read normally. Some metacognitive theories suggest that the tip of the tongue phenomenon could be your brain's way of trying to fix a retrieval issue. It might be a subtle hint that the word you think you know isn't properly embedded into memory, thus giving you an opportunity to solidify it more clearly. One study by Corrine R. Humphreys suggests that the reoccurrence of thought states is attributed to incorrectly mapping the specific keyword to a given sound, ineffectively cementing it into your implicit memory. Luckily for us, this can all be changed. The tip of the tongue phenomenon is not permanent. With just the right help and assistance, you can correct this retrieval error. When experiencing thought states, try to get another person around to guide you in recalling the word, ensuring you resolve that thought so you don't re-experience it later on. Make sure to repeat the word to yourself regularly, creating a procedural memory, solidifying it into your unconscious long-term memory. Although we think speaking comes naturally, cognitive biases like the tip of the tongue phenomenon are subtle reminders that language learning in general is a dynamic process that involves continual, conscious practice. There are over 100 plus cognitive biases out there, with about 20 plus memory associated ones. The first step to fixing these things are to be aware of them. Learn to be conscious of the processes you take to remember something and fine-tune those steps so you can improve your memory and avoid falling into these mental traps. To learn more about these cognitive biases, watch the video on the left and subscribe for more content like this.